You're watching Leafs Morning Tape with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
Well, that sucked. I'm talking about the Canadian National Anthem, O Canada, last night. Nick Alberga, Jay Rosehill, the Tuesday edition of Leafs Morning Take presented by Bet365. How we doing on a Tuesday, Rosie?
Oh, I was up late, not as late as you guys, but I'm dozing off and bobbing off. Even my oldest, who's just a night hawk, was sitting beside me, and he's like, "I'm shutting her down." It was a long one and a disappointing one, but a hell of a baseball game, I'll tell you that much.
Shades of Nestor Cortez Jr. last year. Freddie Freeman, lefty on lefty, still scares the shit out of me, that guy. We're talking about a future Hall of Famer, and you hangy, we bangy, and that's the ball game. You knew it was coming. I couldn't believe how long it took for the Dodgers to win that game with the 1-2-3 hitters that team possesses. Like, I've been saying it. They're an all-star team, but I have to credit the Blue Jays. They're putting the fear of hell in not only the fans, but the team, man. They're playing like a team. I love it. I love it.
Oh, it's what they do. It's what they do. It's funny, after game one, you look in their dugout and their manager and stuff, and you're like, yeah, you're going to have your hands full here. This is a bloody baseball team. And just how long they hung out in that game with the guys that they had out of that game, like, it's crazy. They hung in there that long, and shows their grit and tenacity. And oh, God damn it. Like, when those games with those thin margins that go to that distance, you look back and you think of all the little things that would have made the difference along the way, like go all the way back to Bo Bichette screwing up that ball strike call. And that would have been, there's so many little things that would have added up, but that's sports, and it's pretty cool they hung in there that long. It's going to be interesting to see with the pitching and everything. Like, everyone just depleted their resources last night. It's going to be interesting to see where everyone's at, and Springer and Kirk, and are these guys healthy, and Bo, fuck. It's going to be interesting, but man, with baseball, you get thrown right back into the fire. We're going again today.
Is there a comp to Shohei Ohtani in the NHL? Like, is Connor McDavid even a comp for that freak of nature who put on a display for the century last night? Like, they stopped hit. He got the Bonds treatment like halfway through that game.
Dude, it's like a combination of Gretzky, Crosby, and McDavid. Like, he does, like, nobody can touch him. Like, he does stats where it's like he did this thing in 1 year that every other Hall of Famer in the 130 years of baseball hasn't done in their entire career. It's like, what are you talking about? There's no comparables, dude. He is unbelievable. Can't wait to see him pitch tonight. I hope he doesn't do supernatural things, but it's a treat to be able to watch him play ball, because it's like talking about like Babe Ruth plus like one of the best pitch. Like, it's insane. There's no comparables.
There isn't. I already think he's the greatest of all time. Having said that, I haven't seen anybody prior to 1989. Like, it just, last night was just a display for the ages, where I thought they were making some decent pitches to him, and he's like, I don't care. The ball, like, you can't keep that guy in the yard unless you walk him. Like, it's insanity to me. It's 5 intentional walks. One, I guess, was intentional. Like, it was just a display, man. And you watch that game, and it rips your soul out, because you can't pitch to one of those guys. And unfortunately, he's got so much protection in that order too. But that was an instant classic. It always feels a bit different. You're on the other side of that instant classic, but still, I have to commend the Blue Jays, man. They are giving it their all in this series.
I know. I was thinking the other day, like, or last night, I don't. This series is not over. It sure would be nice to be the team that went up yesterday. But if it doesn't go the Jays' way, like, how proud are you still of the team, right? And, you relate that to the Leafs, and I can't think of a playoff loss where we're like, God damn, boys, that was an honest, gutsy effort, and like, we're proud of you, and you applaud them and standing over them as they get off the ice for their season. It's always like, what the hell was that? And I hope that changes this year, and I hope something happens where, like, don't they notice that? Like, can't you give a gutsy effort and just lay it all on the bloody line? No. Like, no is the answer every single year. That's what pisses people off. And people get on Toronto fans and whatnot. Like, look at the support the Jays are getting. Why? Because they're leaving it all out there and they're playing together and they're playing with their balls and they're doing everything they possibly can. And I just can't say that that's been the case for any of the Leafs losses in the last handful of years, because it just feels like you have way more if you just wanted to reach down and grab them, but you just didn't, and you lost. And that's what pisses people off, because you can see the Toronto fans, they have a lot of support for their teams. It's just when they don't give it their all that pisses them off. So maybe some of that Jay stuff will rub off on the Leafs, but I definitely noticed that after that game, going, man, if this doesn't go the Jays way, like, Toronto will sure be proud of those boys,
1000%. I hate consolation prizes. I'm the first to tell you that, but I'll be proud, win or loss in this series. I'm not conceding it, but they're playing a dynasty, and I don't think people realize how good the LA Dodgers are. Like, when you're rolling out Roki Sasaki in like the 8th inning, dude, like, they got Clayton Kershaw. I know he's 3,000 years old, comes in, gets a crucial out. They got Glass. Like, they have so many different pieces, and the Jays are blow for blow with them. So we'll see what happens tonight. Game 4, Ohtani against Shane Bieber. I think we've been waiting for that Bieber stud performance. This is the reason why they got this guy. I don't want to call it a must win, but need to grab this one tonight, Rosie.
Oh, it'd be huge to get this one, man. Like, you're talking about a class. If they tie this series up tonight, you're talking about a world, like a classic series in the Fall Classic against two teams that are just got so much going on for them, but in different ways. I haven't been this. I mean, obviously they haven't. It's a Canadian team and for 30 years, blah blah blah. So I guess that's why. But I mean, regardless of it being the Jays, this is an unbelievable series. Storylines out the ass. The players that are involved are just, they're so dynamic, and there's so many different personalities and different, like, look at the Jay. Look at both lineups. It's unbelievable. And even like my wife, she doesn't give a shit about sports. She's never watched anything really in her life that she's cared about. And she's breaking down the game this morning, and I can't believe it. I'm like, holy, who is this right now? And it's that good. It's got everybody very much involved, and can't wait for tonight too. I love how they just keep coming. In other sports, you got to wait a while. This is awesome. It's like back at her in like 16 hours. Love it.
It's captivating, and I was telling a friend last night that the Jays have been unwatchable the last couple of years. It was either home run or strikeout. They're likable, and they're fun to watch, man. They play baseball, they bunt, they execute. Like, it's been a pleasure watching this team this year, and as you know, it's tough for me to say that. I was not a big fan of those who ran this team, but they're such a likable team, and I was starting to think of comparables to the NHL. I guess it'd be like that 5 OT game in the bubble a couple years back with Columbus and Tampa. It's tough to find that compliment, but like 18 innings, you're at the end of your bullpen. I felt for Brendan Little last night. You can tell they kept flashing to him. He's like, don't put me in this game. Don't put me in this game, especially with that order. And it was inevitable in my world. I thought he pitched well. Eric Lauer was great, but quite the story of perseverance. And again, you look at that word, it's been the Jays all season long. So I expect a bounce back of sorts here in Game 4 tonight in LA. Our Super Chat charity partner is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. Tough back-to-back. It's Frozen Frenzy tonight. I know we don't apply that much here in this country, but in the States, it's 16 different start times, all 32 teams in action. Do you like that concept, Rosie?
Yeah, I think it's cool. A couple Fridays ago, there isn't a single game in
I know.
the NHL. And I'm like, What is going on an Olympic year of all things? And then they kind of combat that with a game like this where everyone's rocking. It's fun. If you're into hockey, it doesn't matter where you are all the way across North America or the world, your team is playing tonight. So yeah, I think that's cool. Whatever. I mean, it's not it's cool that everybody is playing, and every city has got a full building tonight. So that's pretty cool.
This one's different too because they have different start times for different games. That the Leafs game got pushed back a bit to comply with the World Series game. But a bit of a teaser later on in the last call brought to you by Bet365. I put together a 16-team parlay. That's not going to hit, but the odds are damn great. I'll be retiring from this show if I hit. Okay.
What's the number on it?
Oh, let me find it. It's plus 6,000. Plus 694,286. $20 would pay 222,191.69.
Ooh, baby, you wouldn't shut her down for 200 grand, would you?
No, probably not.
I like this.
I would
Maybe
have
I'll
to
just
pull
ride
it.
your parlay. Parlays seem so
Yeah,
easy to hit, but God, it's
I
hard
know.
enough to get one bet right, let alone a whole bunch. How many legs is it?
It's 16, right? 32
Oh, baby.
teams in action,
Oh, each
16
game. Love it.
games. Yeah, I'm curious to see how many I get right, man. It's difficult. I didn't pick many dogs. I don't know. We'll see how I do. I'm looking forward to that. So I'll unveil that later on here in the podcast. Also, should note, make sure you check out tonight's edition of the Leafs Nation After Dark with Zach Phillips directly following this game. Note the start time, 6 Eastern time for the Leafs hosting the Calgary Flames. Speaking of that, a former Flame, a former Leaf, Matt Stajan, Rosie, the Pat Quinn era, is going to drop by in about 20 minutes here.
Stage, yeah, all-time good guy. We've had him on before, but just one of those guys where it's like, here's some plus money. Like, try to find a guy that doesn't like this guy or has anything bad to say about the guy. I don't think he's ever pissed anyone off or offended anyone. He's just all-time good guy. Friend of the show. It'll be good to pick his brain a little bit. I'm going on Barn Burner later on today too, and it's just like, what is going on in Flames Nation these days? It ain't good, and you wonder about the direction they're heading and what moves they're going to play and some of the players that they have that may end up becoming available. So it'll be fun to pick his brain a little bit too.
And full disclosure, too, it works perfectly. But a week ago when I booked Stage for this show, I really didn't have number 500 in mind for John Tavares. But if you can believe it, Stage was on the ice, or not on the ice, but with the team playing when Matt Sundin got number 500, that just crazy night against Calgary gets a hat trick and shorthanded. He scores over the shoulder of Mika Kiprusoff. So it'll be fun to ask Stage about that night, epic night in Maple Leafs history.
It doesn't make sense that Kiprusoff and 20 years go hand in hand, but it's very much that way. Hey, like, God, when I was younger,
legend,
20 years ago was like, like in 99, I'm like, I'm 13 years old. And 20 years ago, 79 was like the ancient times, like hilarious bell bottoms and 8 tracks. You know what I mean? And now 20 years ago, I'm like, it was no different, but it was. Getting old creeps up on you, but that's fun times. We'll pick his brain about that. It's funny how he could remember that vividly, I'm sure, as he was part of the team. And 06, 500, man. Like, just think about like 228 and 315 and 480. Like, you just keep rattling them off at a pace that just doesn't stop. 500 goals in the big league. Unbelievable. And maybe he can get it tonight, just like Matt's.
That is 495 more than you, I guess, right? In a half.
494 and a half.
0.5. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. That's a lot. That's even 5's a lot, man. It's pretty killer.
Coach,
you're right. When you put it that way.
Coach screwed me. They didn't utilize me properly. It's
I
politics.
agree. I covered that era. John Gallagher, thank you so much for the super chat. In support of Sick Kids, Rosie, props to your wife. During the 92 World Series, my mom said, opponents are hitting 165 off Juan Guzman on the road. Rest in peace. I love how moments like this in history grab the attention of so many different people. You know how many people I've talked to, not really correlated, but are now football fans because of Taylor Swift, KC Chiefs, and they follow every game now. Like, it's pretty crazy. Maybe there's not parallels there, but it's kind of cool how everybody gets together for the moment, right?
Yeah, I think it is. And ball is pretty likable. I mean, throughout the summer and people are busy and the amount of games they play, I feel like to a lot of people it gets lost in the shuffle. But once you get into playoffs and have a reason to watch, it's just such a cool game. Like, just the way it works and how just every little thing, like the forced plays and the strategy behind it and pulling this lefty for that and pinch running, pinch hitting, this guy comes out and then you can't use him and how deep into your bullpen and just the numbers game and the mental side of it and the managing of the game is just so big and it's fun to watch. And there's so many knowledgeable people about ball. I like to sit with them and kind of hear what they have to say, pick their brain a little bit, but such a great game and so awesome when they get so many more people involved like the Jays are right now.
I love this. Donnie Does Dishes writes in, I wore bell bottoms in the 1970s. I don't doubt that at all. Official Nickel City Grunge writes in, any word on Nylander tonight? They're calling it a game time decision for Willie Nylander, who was born in Calgary, by the way. But I'd be shocked if he doesn't play in this game, just in my opinion on that front. At the Leafs Nation 401 here on YouTube. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. This opening segment is brought to you by the Ninja Crispy 4-in-1 Portable Glass Air Fryer.
Meet the first of its kind. The Ninja Crispy Portable Cooking System. The power of a full-sized air fryer in the palm of your hand. So you can cook big or small batches. Just prep it, crisp it, serve it, and store it all in one.
This glass air fryer is PFSA free, thus no harmful chemical while cooking. It includes a small 6-cup and a larger 4-quart Tupperware container. Whether you're whipping up quick single-serve meals in 7 minutes, sharing crispy snacks on the go, or serving a crowd, the Ninja Crispy makes it easy. Check out the link in the episode description or go to sharkninja.ca. So how do you view this one against the Calgary Flames? You talked about it. They've been struggling mightily, 2-7-1 out of the gates through the first 10 games of the season. That said, they're coming off a pretty impressive win over the New York Rangers back on Sunday.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the kicker is they have put it together somehow against the Rangers in their most recent game. So again, we've talked about sleeper games and trap games, and it's still the NHL. That team, if Kadri or Huberdeau decides to jump up, or Coleman or Anderson has a big game, or Dustin Wolf decides to do big things, you'll lose the game. Like it's the National Hockey League. They just shelled the New York Rangers, who lots of people had high on their list in the East this year. So anything can happen. Again, I think in that locker room, they're worried about themselves and what they're going to do, and if they play their best game, they think it'll set them up for success, and they know they can beat anyone when they play their best. So they'll be probably echoing that sentiment here tonight. But be interesting to see what the Flames look like, a team we don't get to see very often. And again, put your best foot forward. Don't take them lightly. That's the best advice I think you could give those guys, and I think they know that. Sometimes it's just hard subconsciously to assume you need to bring your best for games like that, right? Team that's struggling mightily, as you said, doesn't have a lot of pieces of the puzzle in place. People are 5 games into the season, they're talking about tanking for McKenna. Like, it's just not a good place the organization's in right now. But you can't let that get into your psyche and let you take them lightly. And I'm sure that had something to do with the Rangers loss last week.
That Dustin Wolf is special. And it's weird to say, but I think this is a perfect opponent for the Maple Leafs because they don't score goals. They're really in tune defensively. They have to play that style to win games. And it's weird to say, I would love a 2-1 game. I would love a cleaner defensive effort from the Toronto Maple Leafs. And maybe that comes by form of playing the Calgary Flames. I expect strong goaltending on both sides. Wolf's one of the best in the league. Stolarz has been up and down coming off a rough start. So that's my expectation. I mean, not to forecast too much into the Bet365 segment, but I might take a peek at the under tonight, Rosie.
Yeah, that's possible. We talked about it possibly being a goaltending battle. Different kind of goaltenders. I really like Dustin Wolf just for the sake that he's smaller and he has to play the game in a different way than the majority of the high-end goaltenders this day and age. Even Stoley's kind of as athletic and quick and capable of moving Stoley is. He's a large blocking goaltender, right? And you can't hit upstairs when he's in the butterfly, but with Wolf you can, and he has to play the game in a different way. And I think he's a great story. Obviously kind of their shining piece of their roster right now, but by all accounts it could be a goaltending duo tonight. And if they do play a shutdown game and everyone's playing responsible, I mean, ideally I'd love to see the Leafs play shutdown defense but still be able to penetrate the Flames and get to Dustin Wolf, and maybe a 5-1 game in the Leafs' favor this time would be fantastic. But I just love to see them put the pieces together and look really well rounded. And if the effort and the intensity is there, I've been saying that, I'd like to know how many times I've said the word intensity here in the last week or two, but that's what I'm looking for. Like, are you just going to go out there and lay it on the line and like do whatever it takes, those tiny little extra pieces? Are you going to do that? Or are you going to try to win without doing the extra stuff? Like that's the kind of stuff that gets them off track, if you ask me. And we talk about them having a new identity and being a playoff team. Well, fucking let's start doing it and let's put it down and let's take a team like this that you should manhandle and let's manhandle them.
It's a battle of goalies who called out their teams this year. If you recall last week after a 2-1 loss to Montreal, Dustin Wolf's like, it's tough. I can't generate offense. I do my job. I try to keep the puck out of our net and hope that our guys can generate a couple. Where does that go in a room, man? I always wonder. I know I play beer leagues, but everybody always hates the goalie, man.
Really? I don't think it's like fucking the reporter's asking him what's the problems right now? How could you rectify the situation? Well, I just try to stop the puck. I can't score goals, so I'm not worried. I know we're not generating a lot of offense. I can't do that from my side of things, so I'm trying to do the best to help the team from my side of things. Like, what is the problem with that? Like, you think the guys in the locker room heard that and say, hey, he said he can't score goals. What a dickhead. Like, no, they're just like, yeah, that's fucking true. You don't think the coaches ripped on them for the same stuff? Like, it's not news to them to hear that. So I know everyone in the media thinks the players are so sensitive that a player says something and everyone's feelings are hurt. Like, no, man, these guys have had a whole career behind them getting to the NHL. They've had coaches that have ripped them to shreds, and I've had coaches that tore me down to my studs, like shredding every ounce of confidence I've ever had, where you got to like scratch and claw just to feel like you even belong in the fucking game. You've dealt with a lot worse than that. Just because the goalie says I can't go out there and score goals when they haven't been scoring goals, it's not like everyone's going to tear apart at the seams from within in that organization. Like, it's kind of silly, but you usually don't say that because you get so much attention drawn to it. But I think Wolf was just being kind of honest there and saying like, yeah, I do my job and I can't worry about the other stuff. So no big deal to me. But again, I'm not surprised that especially after Stolar's comments that people drew a lot of attention to that.
Really is a breath of fresh air. Like, to your point, in your era, I think every third day we saw somebody get called out, a coach calling out a player calling out a player, something in the media. Now we get it once in a blue moon. It's like, holy shit. But these guys, to me, are so sensitive where I actually think it matters what is said in the media. That's why nobody says anything anymore. But I think, if to your point, like, if there's a goalie who can do it, it's Anthony Stolarz, it's Dustin Wolf. Like, we're not talking about Jonas Johansson coming out and calling out Kucherov, right? Like,
yeah, no, 100%. It has to make sense. And I think it usually does. It comes from a guy who's got his shit in order. But, but what comes with that, and we've seen it, is once you do that, your performance, everyone's watching and saying, well, you better be perfect after that if you're going to point the finger. And Stoli has had, average at best kind of things compared to his standards since then. And you see online a lot of people getting on him. So that is the criticism of that you might take if you decide to go that route. What was I going to say? The ripping on players and whatnot. I lost my train of thought. Damn it! But I had something to say and I can't remember. It'll probably come to me when we change the subject. But nonetheless, it will be interesting with those two tendies. Different styles. It'd be interesting. But I know what I was going to say. That's kind of the heat that some of the Leafs take sometimes, is that they don't get any criticism. Like, well, Baru, like, sometimes I want to like call out anybody, whether it was Marner, which I have called out, or Matthews. Like, if you're down in the trenches and you're trying to pull off a win and you haven't been playing good, like, is there ever a call out like Berube or like somebody that's going to call them out and be like, this isn't good enough. Like, you're not, just because you're skilled and you have these many trophies and shit, it's still not good enough. Like, you still haven't got nearly where you say you want to go with what you've done. So how on earth could your effort ever be questioned? And again, it's not caring about the outcome. It's just like how you go about it. And again, we've, tried to minimize that, and it's only 6 games, 8 games. But as the season goes on, like, those guys should want to put themselves in a position where nobody in the world can question their effort. And if that's the question, like the Blue Jays, I don't think they'll have any problems. And again, I think they have enough pieces in place where if that's the mentality they bring, they should have major success. But it seems like the frustration with the team when they're not doing well is that they have a lot more to give and they choose not to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and everyone's so careful what they say in the media. Like, I was even chuckling on Friday where Craig Berube was pretty much asked about Anthony Stolarz' play in that game, 5-on-30, and he's like, I don't know, I got to talk to him first. Like, what do you need to talk to him about? Like, you just tell me, was he good? Was he bad? But again, that's just protecting sort of your assets, and it's going to happen from time to time, especially this Maple Leafs team. In support of Sick Kids, John Gallagher, thanks again for another super chat here. What's your leash for Matthews? How many games you guys given him before you push the panic button? 10, 20, 30. Where are you at in Austin Matthews, Rosie?
Like I just said, if you want to give them some time to get rocking and rolling, but his capabilities are through the roof, right? He's scored 69 goals in one season of NHL hockey this day and age. Unbelievable. He's got a Hart Trophy as being the most valuable player in the entire league with all the talent out there. That it's just an unbelievable accomplishment. He's an unbelievable hockey player. But as far as a leader and a captain and everything, I think there's room to grow, obviously. And sometimes, like I said, with all the passion and everything in this market and with all the want that is there for this team for the past 50, 60 years, you want to see a guy that openly shows that he wants that as well. And, again, we've talked about Nathan MacKinnon on this team. You see him, the horn goes, and he's like, could you ever question that guy? Like,
No.
he's doing everything that he wants
Frothing.
it more than the most diehard fan, right? And then with Matthews, sometimes he comes off a little vanilla and he doesn't get too excited for any reason at all. And, sometimes that could be good. You talk about John Tavares being the consummate professional. You always know what to expect and it's great. But sometimes I think people would like to see him get a little bit pissed off and feisty and intense and care and just throw the kitchen sink at the game. And then you know what I mean? Like MacKinnon does. And not trying to say you have to be like this guy, but if things go south and they go through a slump this year, and I know their start hasn't been great, that will become the theme is Austin, are you willing to do anything different? Like, we know you're great at putting the puck in the net and you've done it before, but are you willing to, lead this team and show that you're willing to do things that you haven't done before, and you're willing to get out of your comfort zone, and you're willing to play with some passion and some vigor to show everybody that you want it more than anyone else in the organization? Like, that's what I want to see from him. And I think if you don't want criticism and you don't want critics, do that, and no one's going to be able to criticize you. So no, I'm not panicking. I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm just saying that that's where that will go if they don't get on track, But again, I've said yesterday, I'm not panicking. It's October. We all know about that. We can cross that bridge when we get there. But, he is the head of the snake, and criticism will land with him if this team doesn't go where it needs to go.
It's been 9 games. We have not seen that signature Austin Matthews performance, and I won't lie. There's a bit of panic in my world. You know why? Because a year ago at this time, he went to Germany, and now I think the next question, we've seen those "What's up with Austin Matthews" segments. There's going to be "Is he hurt" segments because he's not playing the way we've seen him play, and it's fair to think that way considering the year he's coming off, how many injuries he's had in his career. Like, bottom line, we need to find out what this guy is at this point in his career, because he's nowhere close to the guy who scored 69 goals. Like, watching the game the other night, gliding. And I don't know, and you can't just say that about him. A lot of the team just looked disinterested and bored and just looking forward, I guess, to the rest of the season. But for me, a lot of it will be gauged on what Matthews does in the postseason. But I think from a point of view watching in this regular season, he's been nowhere close to the guy we've seen in the past. But I won't lie, there's a bit of panic for me, Rosie.
And what looks different to you? Like you said, he's gliding. Like, I don't know. It's not like he was Darcy Tucker when he scored 69, just a maniac out there. Like he was in the right places. Like, I remember him scoring literally from the hash marks on the half wall. Like, where? How does that go in? Like, he, sometimes when you're hot, and he was hot for an entire season. But, if you were to quantify what's different about now than then, like, what do you think are the different things that he's not doing?
I just think he's not grabbing the game by the balls. Like, he's being too passive, if that makes sense. Like, I think in the peak of Austin Matthews' career, he was really grabbing the game and grabbing a shift. Like, we haven't even seen that prototypical Matthews shift where he's dogged and the determination's there and he's making sick plays. Like, it's just been piece by piece. But again, you could probably say that about the entire team right now, where there's been moments where you're like, crap. But I just think in terms of like puck possession and dominating the ice, we have not seen that just yet. Like, he's been the same old Matthews defensively, but maybe we just chalk it up to a slow start. But for me specifically, just because of his past, there is a bit of worry there where it's like, is this the 69 goal Matthews? Is this a guy who has to pace himself? Where's he at right now in his career? That's my only question. But I think you ask a fair question and a fair point. It's tough to quantify because he lost his Robin and Mitch Marner, and he's a guy still searching to find new line mates. But when you're that good and you get paid that much money, you've got to control a game. We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I know. And I know what you're saying. Like, sometimes it seems a little bit passive and a little bit of like waiting for your opportunity. And like, say they have the puck on their stick 10 feet in front of you, they'll kind of glide in there and try to knock the puck out of the air rather than take those 5 hard strides and try to take away time and space. Little stuff like that where, when say you're behind and you need to get back in the game and you can see it on TV, you're like, God, like fucking go, like be a firecracker out there. And no one's really willing to. And it is kind of the mentality. Like I've been on teams where the mentality is just like, screw this laziness. I've been on teams where it's just, brother, I will go through a wall for you. Like just family type of feeling where you don't want the season to end. You would block a shot with your face just to get one more opportunity. There's lots of different mentalities of teams. And this one kind of seems like it's, we know we're pretty good. We don't think the regular season matters that much, which we've all said before too. We're going to wait for our opportunities, and when they come, we're going to bury because we're skilled and talented, and that's how it's going to go. And I think that leads to some frustration for people. But, some people, sometimes the same people that are bitching that they're not going hard enough and they're not doing well enough are the same people that says, who cares about the regular season? Like, stay healthy, don't get hurt. All I care about is the playoffs. It's kind of a double-edged sword with that. And
Yeah,
it's hard to know what the mentality is in that room, but I know that when they're losing, it's frustrating because it feels like there's a hell of a lot more that they could have done to change the game and the outcome. And they just decided not to, which I don't think a lot of fans can live with that.
Yeah, and for me specifically, man, like it's tough to scrutinize the captain just because I have no clue what the hell he's been through over the last 2 years, where it's like, can I shit on Austin Matthews knowing this guy scored 69 goals in a season? And granted, you can look at production, you can look at the play on the ice, but I'll be honest, in my assessment, that's when I look back and I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on with this guy. Is he the same guy? Is he dealing with something serious? He went to Germany. Like that pops into my mind. That's why I feel that way.
And like, I don't know who the guy is in general. Like, I really don't. I have no pulse on Austin Matthews. I don't know what makes the guy tick. I don't really know what drives him. I don't know what interests. I don't know. I don't get any read off of Austin Matthews. That's not like a knock on him. It's just his personality. Like Nathan McKinnon, Sidney Crosby, what makes those guys tick. You can feel it. You can see it. It's very clear and apparent. But with Austin, I don't know if he's just kind of, vanilla with his interviews maybe or something, which is probably by design, but nice guy, likable guy, all the rest of it. I don't really know what makes him tick. Like after a horrendous Game 7 loss, he has the same tone and look on his face that he does after a November win. You know what I mean? Like, I have no idea what this guy feels about anything. And again, that's probably to protect himself in this market. But it's kind of funny because you get asked about him a lot, and I'm oftentimes, usually you get a beat on a guy or a read, or you can kind of tell a personality or a mindset. With Austin, I don't know what the hell's going on in the guy's mind. And again, that's not a negative knock. He protects it well, or just the way he goes about his business doesn't really exude to anybody else what's going on with his thoughts. And I guess when things are bad, you could go to that and say, give me more, show me some emotion, I think is maybe one knock you could go with. But in a market like that, maybe that's a good thing that's allowed him to have the success he's had, is to just be, just to be on the straight and narrow and keep things not too high, not too low. Who knows? But it's fun to go in and dissect who they are. Like, it's just, it's interesting trying to figure out who the guy is, because I really don't know.
I guess the fortunate thing is there's a bit more oomph on the shot this year. Last year, he was throwing muffins like me in beer league hockey. And
Yeah,
so I
thank
guess
goodness.
that's a big asset that Matthews has is his shot. But you're right. He is very, very difficult to read. At the Leafs Nation 4-1. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. As mentioned, we're looking to connect here with Matt Stajan, just figuring out some technical issues behind the scenes. But it's expected Sammy Blais, who spent training camp with the Montreal Canadiens, is expected to make his Leafs debut tonight with Calle Yarncroke on the outs, banged up a bit from a shot block over the weekend. What do you expect from Sammy Blais? If you recall, he played for Craig Berube in St. Louis.
Yeah, I was going to say Chiefs familiar with him. Good question. I don't know what to expect from Sammy Blais. That's why
Yeah.
it's kind of exciting. I imagine he'll be chomping at the bit to anytime you're, whether it's situational or you're just getting scratched, all whatever it is, when you get an opportunity in that league, you are fired up. Like, you can't wait for puck drop, and you want to go and show the world, show your team, show your coach, show the brass that I want to play. I want to be in the lineup. I deserve to be on this team. I'm going to make you better. You're better off with me in the lineup than in the press box. So I imagine he'll be buzzing, and I hope that mentality rubs off on others, and I hope that he can kind of not drive a line, but I hope you really notice him out there, and he's doing the things that I think fans in the market are wanting to see. That high energy, that just moving your feet like crazy, forecheck and hitting everything, just playing with some energy and some passion and some emotion. That sometimes this team seems a little bit emotionless. So I hope he brings some of that. But to be honest, I don't know a lot about his game, and I'm kind of excited to give him a look.
And to be fair, I mean, this could be the last shot in Sammy Blais' career to prove his worth and actually be an NHL player. And the opportunity's right there. This team is screaming for somebody in their bottom six to grab this bottom six by the horns and be like, we're doing this. And I think when Blais on his game, heavy on the forecheck, heavy on the puck, physical, we talk a lot about DNA and identity. And I think the bottom six right now is sort of caught. I mean, I understand there's been a lot of line changes. Max Domi back as 4C, but I think from Blais' perspective, I think it's fortunate for him. He knows Craig Berube. He knows the style that'll make his coach happy. Just go out there and bang some bodies. As mentioned, I expect it to be a low-scoring, tight-checking type game, and just get in the dirty areas with Calgary. Make life difficult for their star players. Plain and simple. I mean, Matt Coronado is coming off a health bomb. You would think he's going to be back in the lineup in this game. He's going to be a little fired up to play in this game. Kadri's going to be fired up. Make things difficult for the big boys when you play them.
Yeah, for sure. I think you said it off the bat. Like, he knows Craig Berube well, so it's not like he doesn't know the mentality of the coach, or like what he wants, or maybe what he does best might not turn the coach on. It's not that situation. He knows what Craig likes, and he's going to go give it. And he's been on the team where everyone did what Craig Berube wanted and needed, and the team had success. So he's been there and seen that. And I think his experience, especially with Craig Berube, is definitely helping him right now. But as you mentioned, it is an opportunity that you're not going to get a million of them, that I'm sure he's wanting to take advantage of tonight. So again, I'm sure he'll come out with a lot of piss and vinegar.
How does a team handle a situation like John Tavares when he's at 499 rips looking for 500? Because in the past, it's happened where they're overcompensating and every look is to John Tavares. Do you expect him to be horny to score tonight?
I don't really. I think he's just going to play his game, and he knows that when the goal comes, it's going to come. I don't think that's number one on the forefront of everybody's mind. I don't think everyone's going to be like pulling off of grade A chances to thread it to John. I just don't think that's the case. I think they're going to go play hard, and when John gets it, it'll be great. I'm kind of curious, like, how big of a deal is it? Like, the whole bench isn't going to empty or anything. They're just going to go grab the puck, and everyone's going to be.
But man, that's elite company. Like, he could be the 49th guy to do it.
Like,
right?
50 guys there's not 50 guys in the history of the planet who have done it. So, like, is it a bench emptying thing?
I don't think so, but I think you're flirting with that. That's a pretty damn impressive feat, man. As mentioned, 48 guys have done it. He'd be number 49 to do it.
It's very impressive, very impressive. But
yeah,
I think maybe it'll be on the speaker in the jumbo, and he might have to turn around and give a wave, and they'll make sure they take really good care of that puck afterwards and all that. But again, I don't think that where the team's at and all the rest of it, they're going to be passing up other grade A opportunities to feed John. It's not like that's the priority of the day. It's not like you're trying to get it over with, like with Ovechkin. And there's a lot of runway left in the season. He's going to get it. So I think they're just going to play their game. And when it happens, it happens. And yeah, hopefully it's tonight. No question.
And again, part of Frozen Frenzy, 32 teams, all in action, 16 games. I believe today's guest is ready to join us. Former Flame, former Toronto Maple Leaf. It is Matt Stajan. Stage, thank you so much for doing this. How are you, bud?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
Fantastic. We're just talking about John Tavares and his hunt for 500 goals. I know you were on that Maple Leafs team. Matt Sundin, epic night, dude. I was there over Kiprusoff's shoulder. What do you remember about that night?
It was actually against Calgary. I
Yes.
do remember that night. Yeah. So, the hat trick goal, overtime. One you don't see usually go in on Kipper, but Matt's had a heavy clapper, and it was just down the wing, and he loaded up, and it was a special night. I think anytime you're a part of something like that, whether it's a guy's 500th point or 500th goal, 1000th point, like, you got to be pretty lucky to be playing with a generational talent like that. So it was exciting. It was a big win for us at the time. We had fun that night. It was a memorable one for sure.
Stage, we were just talking about like the levity of this, and there isn't 50 people in the history of the world who have accomplished that feat. So a big deal. And you've seen a guy do it and been right there. It was of my thought that they're not going to be feeding John extra. They're not going to try to be looking for him first. They're probably just going to play their game. And when it happens, it happens. Obviously it will this season, but what do you remember about the build up toward Matt's feat there?
Yeah, it was talked about, but it wasn't like the main focus. What's going to happen. I think, I think we did the same thing here with Jerome in Calgary. You just kind of go about it. The media makes some noise about it. Obviously in Toronto, it's a little bit more than anywhere else. So, but it wasn't like, the countdown was on, and Matt's did it in pretty, it wasn't like he needed one goal. He did it all in one night. So, but once it happened, it was a big deal. It was a big deal. But within the dressing room, you kind of just go about your business and you just wait for it to happen naturally, because it will happen.
Stage, I think it's interesting too when tough to compare any players from that era to this era, but John Tavares, just the way he handles himself. Do you see a lot of Matt Sundin and John Tavares maybe?
Yeah, a little bit. I think definitely a lot of similarities. They both, score a ton of goals, centermen. They good face-off guys. So a lot of similarities for sure. I'd say different eras, so it's really hard to totally put them side by side. Matt's was such a horse, and I never played with Johnny, so it's hard for me to I'm going to be biased towards Matt. He was such a horse. He played like right to the end against the other team's top line in Toronto. Anyways, he had the tough matchups every single night, no matter what, and he was just the best leader you can ask for. So Johnny's done everything like that as well. I think maybe later in his career he's seeing you got Austin Matthews there, so maybe he gets some different matchups, but at the same time, he's really, I like that he's taken on, being a really good face-off guy, and he has been for a long time, but you can tell he embraces it. When you watch him take a face-off, it's just not out there just to snap it back. He's out there to win that draw, and that's so important on a team like Toronto, where he went to join a talented group and embrace that role, and he's still scoring 40 goals a year. So tip my cap to him. He's a Hall of Famer as well, and I think Toronto's been so lucky to have both those guys there for a long time, along with so many other players.
Yeah, like we were talking before you got on stage, we cover the team every day and we're right there, and it's still hard to know what makes Austin Matthews tick, and he doesn't show a lot of personality, and he's not Nathan McKinnon in his intensity. What's your thought of him from the outside?
I'd say, well, just a goal scorer. Like he he's obviously, his game's adapted. He gets some talk about, being really good defensively now, and definitely from his first few years when I was still playing. Yeah, there's always room to grow when you're a young kid, especially the defensive side of the game. So he's really taken pride in that, which has made him one of the best players in the world. So, but just being able to score goals, it's the hardest thing to do, and he does that. But it's a transition period for him. Like, people forget, like, as much as Mitch Marner got, some hate and with his playoff performance, he was still putting up points. And yes, he there's things that people don't like. Like, that's a over 100-point guy that guys like Matthews, Tavares, Nylander could, rely on. Like, Mitch had the puck on his stick a lot. So it's an adjustment when he's not there anymore. And I think, you can't just assume everybody's just gonna be back to how it was. Mitch was a distributor, and you maybe lost that distributor. And you still have guys that can distribute, but you lost a guy who played 20 minutes a night that distributed the puck, that had the puck on his stick a lot. So these guys are finding a way, or having to find a way to produce differently. Even on the power play, guys are in different spots, and you don't have Marner at the top there anymore, and you could tell it's an adjustment. So, but they got to take that on. They get paid a lot of money. They're the top players in the world, and they'll make it work. And I think that's part of the challenge that team has this year.
Leafs Flames, the Matt Stajan game, of course, and we've talked all week in the last couple weeks stage about the start of the season. This market, you lived it. People going crazy over a 4-4-1 start, but obviously the Flames not to start that team wanted either 2-7-1 out of the gates here. Can you just speak to the players' mentality in the month of October? Because for us, and Rosie's lived it too, it's so hard to compartmentalize game by game because it's just such a long season, right? Like, it's October. All you got to do is make sure you don't get yourself in too much trouble that you miss the playoffs, right?
Exactly. I think it's been tough here in Calgary. Like, we've struggled, and it reminds me a lot. I think it was Rosie's first year when we lost the first 8 or 9 games of the season the one year. I think it was 2010 or 2009 with Ron Wilson there. It's not for the lack of trying. Guys are working, and just the puck's not going in the net. And last game we were able to get 5 goals and get a win. So you relieve that pressure that the big cloud that's hanging over. So our team, the Flames, we're going to try and build off that. But it's tough, especially in a Canadian market. And our coach, Ryan Huska, had a good comment, and so true. You can't make the playoffs in the first 10 games, but you can definitely put yourself in a tough spot, and be out of it pretty quickly. So you got to stay in it. I think, if you're Toronto, you're 500, you're there. You're going to string some wins together at some point. But you gotta fight through. I think, there's ups and downs in a season, and it's always tougher when you start with a big down. And have a tough start. So these games are critical. I think, at the end of the year, every team looks at it, and we missed the playoffs last year by 1 point. You look at games at the start of the year that if you could just get that extra point, that they matter just as much. So that's the mentality that both teams have and should have, and every team in the league has. And you can never lose sight of a game in October or November here, and because the value of points are the same as start of April.
Yeah, and talking about where the Flames are at right now, obviously big convincing win against the Rangers last game, which is obviously a big positive. But when people are talking about tanking and McKenna and that type of thing, like, is that the last thing in the world that Leafs want in that locker room? Is any reason to do anything but lay it all on the table and try to get this thing back on track, obviously? And who do you think is leading that charge within the organization?
Yeah, I think that you're going to hear that talk regardless when you're not winning. But you know what it's like as players. You're in the NHL. You're trying to win every game. You're fighting for your job. You're fighting for your team. The brothers you're playing beside. So yeah, there's noise on the outside. There always is. But the guys in the dressing room are always, from the coaches on down, the recipe doesn't change. You're throwing it out there. You're putting a game plan together and trying to win that hockey game. And then you move on to the next one. So We have a lot of good leaders. Blake Coleman's had a great start for us. Michael Backlund is, he's the captain. Nas, he's been, the last few games, he has that fire. He's approaching 1,000 games here too. So he's always has that fire. So we got a good group of leaders, Mackenzie Weegar and Jonathan Huberdeau, and some of these guys, and they'll tell you, like, it hasn't been the easiest of starts for them. Rasmus Anderson's been playing great. They're trying to stay positive, but it's been tough. I think as a player, it's tough when you can't find any traction. So, I think you just got to rely on those older guys, and everybody else follows suit. Our goalies have given us, lots of good games and keeping us in it. It's just trying to find goals now, because with Dustin Wolf back there, you're usually in every game, and I think that's the way we got to look at it.
Wolf is so good, and looking forward to this game tonight. Stage, you're the best. Thank you so much for making time for us today.
All right, guys. Thanks. Have a good day.
Thanks,
You
Stage.
as well. That is Matt Stajan, former Maple Leaf, former Calgary Flame, breaking it down. Of course, does work with the Flames too. But it's always difficult. Like I think it's unique, right? When you look at the two different markets, Calgary, Rosie, coming off a really good season, maybe above expectation. They've had a terrible start where I think it could have cooked them, man. Like I don't see the Flames coming back after a 2-7-1 start. So that's why I think the Maple Leafs are fortunate everywhere they look in their division. Everybody's had a tough start that are teams that we think could win a cup or go far this year, right?
Yeah, I mean, you get things on track, and when it's beginning of March and you're in a position to fight for something, you look back and you go, oh yeah, remember that terrible start? Like it still matters at that point. Those points are still lost. You could use them, but you can recover from things like that. And hearing Stage rattle things off, like, Kadri and Huberdeau and Weegar and Coleman and Anderson and Wolf, like, they've got some players that can play hockey. Like, I don't think they should be this embarrassment bottom feeder start tanking in October type of team. Obviously they have had trouble putting it together. But you saw when they do put it together last year, they made that run and damn near made the playoffs, and in different years getting 96 points or whatever they got would be enough to get you in the playoffs. So there is something there, and it's more than what they've shown. And maybe they're starting to find it, as they had a pretty convincing 5-1 blowout there against what most people think is a good team, but also a struggling team in the New York Rangers. So again, more reason for the Leafs to have their ducks in a row and be prepared for this game, and not let them use them as a traction point to really find their game, because it very well could happen. You gotta prepare for everything, especially a team like the Flames right now, who's going to be hungry to keep that on the tracks after feeling like they found it maybe against the Rangers.
A lot of noise surrounding this Calgary team already. Everybody just circling like vultures on Nazem Kadri, who still has 3 years left at 7 sheets per season. Blake Coleman's in a contract year. I like that Stage brought his name up, because I've identified that guy as a player I'd love the Leafs to acquire between now and the trade deadline. A versatile guy, can play up and down the lineup. And Rasmus Anderson's a pending UFA, and it sounds like he's going to get traded. I already think there's way too much noise around this Calgary team, and I think that's what burned them going into the season is Anderson. Like, the guy was pretty much out, then back in, shows up in camp and says, I'll sign for this. Like, it just shows you how quickly the season can get away from you. So I think that's a pretty good perspective from a Leafs point of view, where it's like you could be worse. You could be off to a 2-7-1 start. That said, time to get this puppy back on track, man. Matthews, time for a big rip. We talked about it off the top. Willie Nylander officially labeled as a game time decision for this one. I'm curious if it is the same trio that starts on line one. Can Robertson duplicate what he did the other night? Bob McMahon, very up and down start for him. Dakota Joshua, can he continue to cook? Like, there's a lot of questions, but for me, it's more so the defensive reins, Rosie. Can they bring things in? We've talked all summer about this awesome blue line, and granted, guys are hurt right now, but can they rein things in defensively is my number one question moving forward here.
Yeah, agreed. And I think that's been one of the big reasons that they, have had kind of a fumbly start to the season is, in years past, not including last year, they've kind of struggled with the turnovers, the odd man rushes, the lost assignments, the open ice right in the house in front of your goalie. They really shut that down last year. And I think it's a big reason why they won the division and had the success that they had. and they haven't really found it to the same level so far this year. You see 4-on-1s, like what kind of a breakdown needs to happen to your structure to have 4-on-1s in the NHL? It's a big breakdown, and you see it's with the forwards as well. Obviously, it starts with the defensemen, but the forwards contribute to that a lot as well. Making right decisions with the puck, not cheating, being on the D side of the puck. Those are all things that you hear a million times because they matter. Because when you get caught not doing them, it is big time defensive breakdowns, odd man rushes, wide open chances, open seams, open men. And they need to sew that up and get back to playing like they were last year, where they were really responsible with that things, and they were hard to penetrate, and they shut things down. Again, they've got the personnel to do it. I know that, Riley's been hurt, Tanev's hurt. I get it, but that happened last year too, and they were still able to keep the same semblance of a game plan together. So yeah, we'll look for that as well tonight.
It's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in on the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, NATION. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you're someone you know has a gambling problem, visit ConnexOntario.ca. So as I teased earlier on here in the podcast, I put together a 16-team parlay. Should I rifle them off, Rosie? Plus 694,286, man.
All money lines, right?
All money lines. So I got Toronto over Calgary, Philadelphia over Pittsburgh, Carolina over Vegas, Columbus over Buffalo, Florida over Anaheim, Boston over the Islanders, Tampa over Nashville, Minnesota over Winnipeg, St. Louis over Detroit, Dallas over Washington, Chicago. Why do I have Chicago over Chicago? That'd be a very difficult game. But I have I have Ottawa over Chicago in that game. My mistake, guys. Colorado over New Jersey, Edmonton over Utah, Rangers over Vancouver, Montreal over Seattle, and the last game of the night, the LA Kings defeating the San Jose Sharks. $20, and you'd win close to $220,000. Wow.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I got them all. All right. I'm going to tail you on that.
Baby.
I'm going to open up my app. That might take a few minutes to put all that down, but I am going to do it. I don't have my own bet for myself. Well, maybe I should.
JT talk. Let's do it.
Who? JT?
JT.
Why not? I wonder what the number is there. He'll probably be fired up to get it. And we talked yesterday about just the way he prepares, man. You know that if he gets an opportunity, a guy like him, there's a reason he's flirting with 500 as he can bury. Yeah, let's do JT, and I'm going to jump on that big fat parlay that you got going on right there and see what happens out there. I like it. So exciting. I'll be happy if I get half. I know. It's nothing worse than like having a bracket or something like that, and you're all jacked. Yeah. Like the first or second game of the whole thing, she's pooched. There's a reason they'll give you $1 billion if you ever have a clean bracket. It's basically impossible.
Yeah, I mean, the Leafs could very easily not show up for this game, and I could be pooched before it even starts. Like, it can hit 7 o'clock, and I'll be cooked for the night. So we'll see. Play it by game here. I know Jimmy writes in he likes the Robertson anytime goal. I think if Nylander plays, he always loves playing the Calgary Flames. I would look at that. But I can't not play JT just because of the whole story with Matt Sundin 19 years ago, October 14th, scoring the winner against Kiprusoff and the Flames. Number 500, being there in the building for that one. I think it'd be really cool 19 years later for that to happen again. And World Series, if you can bet on Shohei Ohtani to get 6 walks, maybe you do that. Like, I wonder what the number is for him to walk 3 times tonight, because I don't think they're gonna throw to him. I know he's gonna lead off in the bottom half of the first, but I don't think they're gonna throw that much to this guy tonight.
Yeah, I don't think Vegas is stupid. I don't think they'll make a real juicy line for that.
I had a buddy last night doing that. At bat, he was betting on Ohtani to walk, and I guess the books didn't catch on until like the 3rd intentional walk, so he was just winning free money at plus money. It was crazy.
No kidding. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Those props, man. Oh my God. It's just like,
they're tough.
You know, the thing I just thought of right there is what if that is in such control. You're like a manager, a team is in such control over walking the guy, you know, betting scandals and like prop bets. Like
Terry Rozier.
Every time I open my phone, they're going, okay, tell me this isn't a bad look. And these basketball guys, it's like they're up by 16 points, like game is over, and the guys are looking at each other on the bench like, oh, and they're covering their mouth and whispering and shit, and then they win by 17, and they're going like this. They're going like this on the bench, like, what are you doing? Like, your team just won by 7. There is no reasonable explanation for you to be doing that after a 17-point win. Usually it's like, hey boys, that away, hey, high fives, let's go. And they have these outlandish looks on their face and character, like, it's so obvious, and it's all coming out now, and people are going into the books and the videos and the game tape to expose it all, and now it's so obvious. My God, what a disaster. I'm very glad hockey is left out of that shit.
I think it's hilarious. These guys make like $60 million a year, and they're doing all this to win like $200,000. Like, what's the point, man? You're going like, we're talking like Casa Nostra, and I was talking to a buddy there tonight. Like, there are going to be some lives lost over this. Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
And when you're a college kid that's not allowed to have anyone buy you a piece of pizza, I guess before Pip was a deal. I get it. Yeah. Some kid's going to get 40 grand who just came from, some neighborhood that has had nothing. He's had nothing in his life, and he's not allowed to have anything because he's a stud college player. You're going to shave a point or two and get 20, 30, 40 grand put in your socks. Like, yeah, that makes sense to me. But these guys are making 16 million a year, and they've made 180 in their career, and they are openly throwing it all away for 200K. Blows your minds, man. Friggin' idiots. Again, I'm so glad hockey's not involved.
For now. Anyways, producer Vic, just to wrap, he likes the JT Ovi parlay. I like that look. Ovi's at $8.99. JT, of course, at $4.99. So if you play that, put that together, plus 175. And if you can find something on Shohei Ohtani, again, we are witnessing greatness. The guy's on the hill tonight, maybe like 10 Ks and maybe a home run. I wonder how much what would that pay? Like, I'm just going to sit back, enjoy it. The Blue Jays are in the World Series. That umpiring last night was a treat. I still can't get over that strike call to Varsho, 3-1 count. And granted, that's on Bo. For anybody not blaming Bo, that's on Bo as the runner. You've got to know what the hell's going on. You got to probably look at the umpire, make sure he calls a strike before moving. So I think mistakes all around. But Rosie will reconvene tomorrow. The Wednesday edition will recap Leafs Flames. We'll look ahead to the back-to-back Columbus, Toronto. Caden Primo likely to start in that game, of course. And Ryan Leslie's going to drop by the show too.
Sweet. Yeah, he's been doing good work, kind of reinventing the wheel a little bit with how he approaches talking to the players and giving fans access. So, yeah, looking forward to that. And hell of an exciting day for sports. I'm so glad they moved the Leafs game back, because you just set up shop and you get to watch it all. So exciting stuff. Enjoy this, people. It doesn't happen all the time. I love when game day rolls around for big stuff like the Jays, and we get a little precursor with the Leafs, and hopefully they do good things against the Flames and manhandle them like they should.
At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcasts. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review, and don't forget to visit leafsnation.com. Thank you again to Matt Stajan for dropping by. Thank you to producer Vic. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. Talk tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.